The bell above the diner door rang like it always did, but that night, it sounded like a warning. 3 men walked in with laughter too loud and eyes too cruel. They didn't come for food. They came for her. What they didn't know was that a quiet man in the corner booth had been watching the entire time. A man who had survived wars most people only see in movies. And beside him sat a German shepherd who hadn't moved once, but hadn't missed a single thing. They thought she was alone. They were wrong. And before this night ends, someone will speak up in a way that will change all of their lives forever. Stay with me. Because sometimes heroes don't wear uniforms. Sometimes, they just sit quietly in the corner. The diner had been in the family for 32 years. Red leather booths cracked with age. A jukebox that only played half the songs correctly. The smell of coffee soaked into the walls like history. Emily Carter had grown up between those booths. Her father, Tom Carter, had built the place with his bare hands after her mother passed away. The diner wasn't just a business, it was survival. It paid for school clothes, for medicine, for the small birthday cakes he tried to decorate himself every year. But lately, business had been slow. And trouble had started visiting more often than customers. The bell above the door jingled. 3 men walked in, mid-20s, loud boots, louder mouths. They didn't look hungry. They looked bored. And bored men with nothing to lose were dangerous. Emily forced a polite smile. Table for 3? One of them leaned too close. Only if you're serving. The other 2 laughed. Tom looked up from the counter. His jaw tightened, but he said nothing. The diner needed every dollar. And men like these loved causing scenes. They sat down but didn't order. Instead, they watched. Every time Emily walked by, one of them would whisper something just loud enough for her to hear. Bet she thinks she's better than us. Probably thinks she's too good for this town. Girls like her need to be reminded where they belong. Tom finally stepped in. If you're not ordering, you can leave. The tallest one stood slowly. Chairs scraped the floor. Oh, we'll order, he said. We're just getting comfortable. That's when the bell rang again. A man walked in wearing a faded jacket, baseball cap low over his eyes. Calm. Quiet. Controlled. Beside him padded a large German shepherd, disciplined, alert. The entire diner shifted. The man nodded once to Tom and took the corner booth. He didn't look at the thugs. But the dog did. And the dog didn't blink. Emily brought coffee to the quiet stranger. Thank you, he said softly. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried weight. The thugs noticed him now. One of them smirked. Nice dog. The man nodded once. His name's Rex. Does he bite? The stranger finally looked up. Only when he has to. Something in his tone made the room colder. But the thugs weren't finished. When Emily walked past again, one of them grabbed her wrist. Sit down. Talk to us. The entire diner froze. Tom rushed forward. Let her go. The tallest thug shoved him backward. Tom hit the counter hard. Emily's eyes filled with tears, not of weakness, but humiliation. And that's when Rex stood up. No barking. No growling. Just standing. Still. Focused. The man in the booth slowly placed his coffee cup down. You should let her go, he said calmly. The thug laughed. Or what? The man removed his cap. There was something in his eyes, not anger. Training. Discipline. Control. Or you'll regret testing how patient I am. The tallest thug stepped forward. You military or something? The man nodded once. United States Navy. A pause. SEAL. The laughter faded. The grip on Emily's wrist loosened. But pride is louder than fear. The thug pushed her away and squared up. You think we're scared? The SEAL stood slowly. Rex moved beside him like a shadow. I don't care if you're scared, the SEAL replied. I care that you leave. The tension could snap glass. The thugs looked at each other. 3 against 1. But something told them it wasn't 3 against 1. It was 3 against something they didn't understand. Finally, the tallest one spit on the floor. This isn't over. They walked out. The bell rang again. Silence filled the diner. Tom's hands shook as he helped Emily up. The seal put money on the table. Make sure she gets home safe, he said. Emily finally found her voice. Thank you? He looked at her gently. No one deserves to feel small. Then he left. But the story wasn't over. Because men like that don't threaten once. They come back. And next time. They won't just want to scare her. 2 nights later, the diner was nearly empty. Tom insisted Emily stay home. But she refused. I won't let them win, she said. Courage sometimes looks like stubbornness. The bell rang. And there they were. This time, no smiles. No laughter. Just intent. Tom reached for the phone. The tallest thug slammed it off the hook. You embarrassed us. Emily stepped in front of her father. Leave us alone. He grabbed a chair and threw it against the wall. Make us. And then, the door opened again. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just certain. The Navy SEAL walked in. Rex beside him. But this time, he wasn't alone. 2 sheriff deputies followed. Apparently someone had made a call earlier. The SEAL had anticipated this. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't threaten. He simply stood there. The deputies moved in quickly. The thugs resisted briefly. But men who rely on intimidation crumble under real authority. Handcuffs clicked. Silence returned. As they were escorted out, the tallest one looked back at Emily. You needed saving. Before she could respond, the SEAL spoke. No. He looked at Emily. She chose not to run. The deputies left with the men. The diner was quiet again. Tom exhaled deeply. Why did you come back? Emily asked. The SEAL scratched behind Rex's ears. Because I've seen what happens when good people stay silent. He paused. I won't be silent anymore. Emily stepped forward. You don't even know us. He smiled slightly. I don't have to. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a card. Local Veterans Outreach. I'm opening a training program for young people. Confidence. Self-defense. Discipline. He looked at Emily. You'd be good at it. For the first time in weeks. She smiled without fear. Months later, the diner was full again. Not because of drama, but because of community. The thugs had left town after charges stuck. Emily helped run youth classes in the evenings. Tom installed a small sign near the register. Courage is contagious. Sometimes heroes fight wars overseas. And sometimes, they sit quietly in a booth, drink coffee, and decide that enough is enough. The Navy SEAL didn't stay in town forever. Men like him rarely do. But the lesson he left behind did. Speak up. Stand firm. Protect the vulnerable. Because evil grows loud when good people whisper. And sometimes, all it takes is one calm voice. And one loyal dog. To remind the world what strength really looks like. If today's story touched your heart, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And remember, even a small act of kindness can change someone's entire life. Red Heart.